Hey guys, and welcome to my channel. Happy fall, or happy we're getting close enough to fall that we can start DIYing without people think that we're getting crazy. I know it's too early, I'm not decorating my house with fall just yet, but it is a perfect time while I'm just staying home to start thinking about fall DIYs and kind of what style I want to do. That's something that I would love for you all to leave in the comments down below. What are you kind of leaning more towards this fall? I know we're not into fall yet, but like what's catching your eye? Are you into like the neutral falls or really super colorful fall? I love fall colors, so I definitely will be incorporating that into a lot of my DIYs this year. But I have a lot of new friends and followers here on YouTube, so I wanted to compile all of my favorite fall crafts that I've done on my channel and put them in one place so that you can enjoy them and start getting some awesome fall inspiration. Leave me a huge thumbs up, make sure you are subscribed, and let's go ahead and jump on into these awesome, gorgeous fall DIYs. For this first DIY, I'm creating this small little circular sign. I picked this up from Target Dollar Spot. This was last year, but if you want to make this little circle sign, you definitely can use some of Dollar Tree's circle signs that they put out this year. I have a lot of the little flamingo summer ones, and then also Hobby Lobby always has some blank little wood pieces if you would like to make one that is a little bit higher quality. But I love this one from Target because it did have the real little grooves in there. It had 4 little planks on there, so I go ahead and paint all of them white except the second one. I wanted it to just have a little accent color there so that I could put some pumpkins on there. And then for the white, I'm going to go ahead and write Hello Pumpkin. I printed these off just using Word, and then I like to use a pencil to scribble on the back and then trace over the front, and that leaves the perfect little stencil so that I can paint that in with a little paint marker. I love how Dollar Tree is now offering all of these different little wood pieces, and last year they had these DIY wooden stickers, which I love adding little 3D pieces on signs like this. It makes it look so nice. So I'm going to go ahead and paint these orange pumpkins, give them a little bit of brown detail, and then add them onto that little brown strip. Dollar Tree put out some black and white buffalo check ribbon recently, so I know this is something you can get from there, but it's just really hard to find sometimes, so I go ahead and pick up all kinds of different sizes of this buffalo ribbon from Hobby Lobby, and I just love keeping it on hand all year and just not having to wait on Dollar Tree until I find it. I know a lot of Dollar Tree items are super hard to find, and there's still several things that I haven't been able to get yet, so I just like to go ahead and substitute as close as I can from using Hobby Lobby, Dollar General, or Walmart items. I love making these bows, just cutting off a little loop of ribbon or fabric. It's just super easy. I go ahead and glue that to the top, and I think that just goes gorgeous with the white and the black on this sign. And like I said before, adding the little brown detail onto the pumpkins, it just makes them pop off and gives them extra shape. But this is how easy it come together, and I think this looks so nice. It could easily be used all fall and then transition into Halloween. I'm using a few different pieces from Dollar Tree for this next project. I'm using the Family Friends football stake, one of these Halloween come in for a spell signs, the little harvest metal sign, and then one of these small pumpkins. I haven't been able to find the little metal words this time, but I've been substituting that with some wooden Hobby Lobby words. Definitely check out your Hobby Lobby. They have out gorgeous fall right now, and I just love getting my supplies from different places instead of just having to feel like I always just use Dollar Tree items, and there is always substitutions of different stores. But for this specific project, I'm flipping over that Halloween sign, and I'm going to be painting the back of this black, and this is going to be the base for my sign. I am going to be covering over those little jagged ends, so don't worry about getting those perfect, but I did want to give this just a little bit of dry brushing or kind of like different colors so it would look textured and more kind of like wood than just painted flat brown. So I go ahead and just dry brush over some mineral color to give it a little bit more texture, but it is really bright after I add this color in, so I do like to sand it, and it kind of blends it in and makes it have more of a softer look. And then using the stake, I'm actually pulling off the pieces, and I'm going to save that for a later project, but for right now I'm going to use the stake part to create a little piece of wood for the top and the bottom to make this look more like a wooden scroll. I'm using Dollar Tree's little handsaw. This isn't my original choice of what I would choose to cut this, but I think it's fun trying to use Dollar Tree items most of the time. But I go ahead and cut that. Sometimes they fall apart whenever you are sawing with them, so just be careful. But I also like to use little razor blades in like a utility knife, and that seems to cut this type of MDF really well. I go ahead and cut two the same size and paint them with the mineral color, and then dry brushing over them with the truffle brown. So kind of doing the opposite on what I did on the larger sign. I love using chalk paint all the time, but especially whenever I am painting orange. Orange acrylic paint, I guess, where they have to add so much color into the paint to get it to be such a bright orange, it just is really thin. And I remember doing craft shows, and I had to paint like a million layers of orange to cover up any type of wood or material, but this orange chalk paint is just super thick, and I can get the coverage I want in 1 to 2 coats. So I go ahead and paint that, and then while the paint is still wet, I'm just using some of my leftover truffle brown to kind of shape the pumpkin so it looks a little bit more 3D and have texture, and then I go ahead and paint the stem brown. I add that harvest sign up at the top. I like to use E6000 because hot glue seems to instantly dry and have a hard time sticking to the slick metal textures, and then adding back the little raffia bow that I originally pulled off of this pumpkin. And then I wanted to give this a nautical rope hanger, so I'm going to go ahead and cut that down and hot glue it down, and then I want to cover over this backing, so I am using some brown craft paper. And this is how it came together. This is so simple and easy to do, but it's definitely one of my favorite fall pieces that I've ever made on my channel. Next up, I want to make more of a neutral farmhouse. Like I said before, I love fall colors, but I also love creating some neutral with my favorite little moss green color paint. So I'm going to go ahead and try to do that. I'm using 3 of these signs I put out last year, but I am seeing that some people are saying that they are putting out new signs just like this, the same size and same material. It is just, they just have different sayings on them. So go ahead and glue 3 of these together. I did have a ton of these to use last year because I had to order them online, and I had to get like 35 of them in a case. So I remember using a ton of these. I go ahead and paint that the mineral color, and then pop off these small little pumpkins on this football hanger because I am going to be turning these around backwards and painting the back. Just keeping this neutral, I go ahead and paint these white, but you definitely could add any color that you would like into here because I am going to be decorating around it with some greenery and some more brown paint. It's just very inexpensive to take your paint to kind of create the shape and give it dimension, but I discovered this year that I love using the Dollar Tree ovals to kind of glue in the middle to give them more dimension, and they definitely sell smaller ovals that would go perfect on these size pumpkins. And then for the bottom, I just wanted to fill it in, so I'm using some lamb's ear, so I go ahead and lay that out and then hot glue that down. And that is how simple this came together in style with some neutral fall farmhouse decor. I think it looks beautiful. Next up, I'm creating a large wall decor piece using Dollar Tree items. I am going to be piecing these two signs together. This is another one of my all-time favorite DIYs, and I'm super excited to get it back out this year, and I will be using it again. It just turned out really beautiful, and the trucks are still super popular this year. Let me know in the comments down below if you're still loving the trucks or if you are getting a tad bit burnt out on them. I think I like them to look a little bit different than usual. I'm still going to use the trucks and all those trucks that I use, especially for Christmas, but I am loving just adding different colors in there and just making them look different. So this green truck that I'm going to be painting for this project will just be perfect, and I'll get to use that several more years. So I'm going to go ahead and use one of these, and I know that they have already put these out this year because I have been seeing them at my Dollar Trees, but I'm going to go ahead and turn this around backwards. I did use this wood filler. I use a ton of different, just whatever I grab the fastest, but I use a ton of wood filler or spackle that Dollar Tree sells, or just anything that I have on hand to fill in those holes and also fill in the cracks on larger wall decor pieces that I want to look super nice. I go ahead and give this a couple coats of the white paint to cover all of the imperfections, and then using a little bit of gray, I like to go ahead and distress the edges. I used a ton of this green color last year. It was very popular, but I would love to know, what color are you loving for fall? I know that dark blue color is really popular, as well as like a lot of copper pieces this year, but I would love to know what your favorite color for this fall season is. I go ahead and paint this this color, but then I go ahead and use the same color mixed with a little bit of darker brown so that I can do some shadowing. I paint the little tires black. I'm trying to do this as basic as possible. I don't want to add too many details, but I do want it to look really nice. So mixing these two colors in and then going in the same shape as the truck, I can kind of create little shadows and dimension, and then also make it look like it has more details without having to spend the extra time. I'm adding some wooden pumpkins to the back, which I think automatically make it look really 3D and nice, but it just looked like they were kind of floating in the air. So I'm taking one of my jumbo popsicle sticks and trimming it down on each side, and then I cut it in half very carefully because these do crack easily, and go ahead and round the edges back, and then it kind of looks like the little tailgate top, so it flattens the bottom of the pumpkins and makes it look 3D, like they're actually setting in there. So the next thing I'm doing is going to go ahead and paint my pumpkins. I paint the two large ones orange and give them extra little details and paint the stems, and then for the little white one, I wanted it to pop off of the truck, so I go ahead and paint it white. One of my favorite things to do in crafting is after I get a project done, I love to take my black Sharpie and kind of just outline the edges. I feel like it gives it so much more detail, makes it look a little bit more whimsical and just cute. This would make a really cute little door hanger if you just wanted to do the truck. It is a tad bit small, so you could add this into the center of a wreath or maybe just even on a square sign. But for this, I do want it to look like a larger wall decor piece so I can decorate with it. On the wall, I don't have a ton of wall decor pieces, and I hate spending a ton of money on wall decor whenever I don't need a ton of it. So I go ahead and use Dollar General stickers. I cut out the word market. I love to put my stickers down on a piece of parchment or wax paper and then pick them up with some painter's tape, and it easily lets you transfer them and you'll get the spacing right and know where you want them. I run out of an R, so I did put a P on the farmers, and so I did have to go ahead and fill that in. But pretty much an easy, fun painting project that turned out really pretty and will look so nice displayed this fall season. And then I feel like no fall crafting is complete, or any season for that matter, unless you find a cute way to display some of your favorite fall memories. So I'm creating these two little pumpkins. We're going to be painting them to create little photo frames or photo holders, and I think these are so fun to interchange out. And just remember, especially if your kids or grandkids are getting big, and you can put little baby pictures in here during each of these seasons. I am making these for fall, but I also think they would be really cute if you went with Halloween colors, so that you could like display your favorite little costumes or anything like that. But I go ahead and paint these opposite. I do one gray with dark gray shading and then one white with gray shading. I go ahead and just add super simple little greenery to the top. I pulled these off of a little floral bouquet, super inexpensive, and just hot glued down a neutral sunflower in the center, and then these tiny little clothespins which Dollar Tree now sells in the Crafters Square. And then you'll be able to just change out these photos super easy, and I displayed some of our favorite fall family memories. And then next up, I'm going to share with you how to create a super detailed, gorgeous scarecrow using Dollar Tree items. I know these were super popular on my channel last year, and a ton of you guys sent me your photos of creating these scarecrows, and they were so much fun to look at. I needed a larger rectangle. You definitely could use real wood if you had that on hand, but I was just challenging myself to create this using Dollar Tree items. So I am using 2 of the summer square signs, and I know they still have these, or you can use the new square fall signs and piece them together. I do go ahead and fill this in because this is going to be right where like his face is, and I want this to be as smooth as possible. So I fill that in with wood filler, and be sure to sand that down. I'm using the 2 little planks from that football stake that we used earlier, and I'm going to be piecing these together to make a hat brim. So I wanted to flip these over, go ahead and remove the stickers, and then paint them the same color as the hat. And then for the face, I'm going with this mineral color and white color, and I'm going to go ahead and mix them together. I love that streaked effect, how they look whenever you are brushing them together. I knew my scarecrow needed a lot of hair to look really realistic, so flipping over that little hat brim, I go ahead and just glue like crazy a ton of raffia down, and then after I flip this over, I'll be able to trim it up and give him a little haircut, but be sure to kind of shorten his bangs and glue that across, and then to make sure that this isn't going to fall off, I do glue some popsicle sticks on the back to hold it nice and tight down. I added in those orange leaves, which give it the perfect fall pop of color, and then a burlap sunflower right on top. Those came from Dollar Tree. And then for the face, I wanted the eyes to be as symmetrical as possible, so I like to cut them out and then trace them, but make sure you flip it over for the other one so they are really symmetrical. I traced out his little face with a pencil and then went ahead and filled that in. I painted his nose orange, but did add a little bit of shadowing with some truffle brown paint. And then I filled in everything with a Sharpie marker and made sure that it looked like he had little stitchings on his nose and his mouth. I wanted him to look like he had a little bit of clothing on, so I am just bunching up this ribbon to look really ruffled. This is wire ribbon that I've had on hand for a long time, and I feel like this is best for the bunching or folding it over and kind of staying in place. But go ahead and just make this look pleated and fold it over the edges. I give him some little pupils and lights in his eyes using the back of a paintbrush and add a little raffia bow to the bottom. I think he turned out adorable and another one of my favorite fall decor pieces. I also make this in a farmhouse neutral color, so you have to let me know which one of these you like best. I know chalkboards are super popular. They have been for the past several years. So I wanted to create one using Dollar Tree items. I needed a frame, so I'm using this 11 by 14 frame that I picked up from Dollar Tree. I go ahead and take everything out of the center, but I want this to look like a nicer quality frame, so I needed to make it a little bit thicker looking like real wood. So I go ahead and just piece together some of these jumbo popsicle sticks. You do have to kind of pencil in where they go and cut them down, but I go ahead and fill in the little cracks with some wood filler and then paint the frame and the sticks the same color, and it automatically makes it look like a nicer, wider frame. I did distress this frame just a little bit to give it more detail, but you have to be super careful because it does show up your imperfections, so I wish I would have just left it dark brown. But since this is just going to be for fall and Halloween, I didn't mind that it looked really rustic. And then just using any kind of rectangular sign that I had extra of, I'm going to go ahead and paint it black. Now this isn't going to be a real chalkboard, this is just supposed to look like one. You can use real chalkboard paint if you choose to, so that you can erase and rewrite on there, but for now I'm just going to glue a banner across the top and make it look like it is just a chalkboard. I go ahead and glue that in the back and cover up the back with the craft paper to make it look all nice and sealed in. I love this whenever I'm getting it out of storage the next year or following season. I feel like they look so much nicer whenever you don't see what was on the back. And then I wanted to create that little banner like I said, so I go ahead and paint 3 pumpkins. I wanted to add in a little bit of shading, although I do get way too much brown paint, so I had to go over that with a ton of orange to make it show up a little bit brighter. I add the little details in there, and then I'll hang these up with a piece of jute string. I printed out the words pumpkin patch so that I would be able to do my little trick. I usually shade the back with pencil and then I can trace over it and it leaves the pencil marking, but whenever you do have something dark, I like to shade over it with the chalk paint. But on this, it just didn't seem to work out as great. I wish I would have just freehanded it because it did leave a lot of the chalk residue and it was just hard to get it off. I tried to use a Q-tip and water and get it off as much as I could, but it's still, you can see it in the final shots. But I go ahead and just trace over it and I can see where to fill that out. But Dollar Tree also has some really awesome chalk writers right now and chalk markers, and they are so good, so that's what I would prefer to use. But I think this turned out really good. You also could paint it and spray it because this is just a faux chalkboard. Next up, I'm going to be painting this basket. It was originally lime green. I take it outside and spray it with some gray spray paint. I also spritz over it with a little bit of a darker shade too, and this is how it came together. I wanted to create a little pocket to hold some greenery, florals, and some pumpkins, and just hang this on the wall. This turned out really cute. I really like it. In this video, I worked with Bargain Bethany. I love watching her, so I was super excited to get to work with her. And for this burlap, I go ahead and make the edges a little bit raveled and fold that over so it'll show up really nicely. And then I just cut it down to size and go ahead and hot glue this over the edges. These DIYs have been shortened down to create this fun compilation video, but if you are interested in watching any of the full tutorials, I will leave a list with links down below so that you can go check out more instructions and more detailed on how I put together each of these projects. I added a Dollar Tree sign to the top as well as this beaded hanger to make it look nicer quality. And then I pick up these Hobby Lobby garlands for about 10 bucks, and then I'm able to cut them down and use them on a ton of different projects. I still have ones from this original garland that are little branches that I haven't used yet, so they last forever. I put in some little pumpkins and then go ahead and dry brush on this burlap just a little bit. I feel like it had too much of a yellow tone that I wanted to kind of dull it down a little bit, and I added a little burlap bow onto the front. But I think this is so beautiful and I will be super excited to get this back out and maybe even add some more pumpkins into the little pocket. Next up, I'm creating a porch decor DIY. So this is like a larger piece that I think turned out really good. As always with outdoor DIYs, make sure you keep them under a covered porch and spray them really heavily with some clear protectant coat. But these pumpkins and this MDF material, I would not let the sun or the rain touch these because I feel like it will be ruined very quickly. So I go ahead and paint these 3 pumpkins different colors. I know Dollar Tree has out these pumpkins again this year. I do like a neutral color, a green color, and then a bright orange at the top, and go ahead and add some different fonts to them. I love to use the same color that I'm painting with and add a little bit of brown into it so that it is kind of monotoned and just looks nicer whenever you are using the same shade of color. I wanted it to say welcome to our patch, but I wanted this to be in different fonts. So for the first one, I'm going with this little metal sign that I picked up from Dollar Tree. And then for the second and third one, I thought I was going to use these stickers on both, but I didn't like the top one being different. So I decided they all needed to be different, so I ended up printing off something different to go on the middle pumpkin. You could just put these on a Dollar Tree little stake and stake it down into a planter, but I decided I want this to be freestanding, so I go ahead and hot glue it down on a really nice Home Depot board, and then add or screw a square little board to the bottom so that it would have a stand. I did use screws on the bottom just to make sure that the hot glue wouldn't break off, and that finishes up this project. I added a little raffia bow and a green leaf, and I think it is so beautiful against the side of your house. And then for this last DIY, this was a little mystery DIY on my channel, so it wasn't in the thumbnail, but I think it is definitely one of my favorites. I just feel like the video quality wasn't the best on it, so I need to try to create this just a little bit nicer quality. But I go ahead and paint the pumpkins. I'm going to make the middle one a little bit different, but I wanted to make a sign that said welcome to our patch, so I go ahead and create this little sign using one of those football little planks that we used earlier, and then I'm making the stem out of popsicle sticks, or the little posts that it's going to hold on to. To make these sturdier, I glue the popsicle sticks together. I did print this off as well and go ahead and trace it and paint it on there. And then I'm going to put my kids' little initials on each of the pumpkins so that it kind of represents our family. If I had more pumpkins, I could have even put me and my husband's initial on one. But I'm just putting this all together. I didn't hot glue everything together, so it is going to be in separate little pieces, but I think that is what's so special about this project, that it makes like a scenery instead of just one decor piece. It has been a while since I made little bows like this. I always felt like I needed to cover the center, but now I don't even worry about that part. I just leave the jute string showing because I think they're really cute. These look kind of like more like a formal bow tie rather than the bows I make now. But I go ahead and glue that to the back of the middle one, and then that will hold up this sign. And then once again adding my little Sharpie marks all the way around the pumpkin, as well as our little initial. I used a wooden letter for the middle, so I think it looks really good that they are a little bit different, but go ahead and paint them all black so they still kind of coordinate together. It is also really cool that I didn't hot glue these together because you will always be able to change out the florals that you use, but I'm just sharing with you here how I set this up. I'm cleaning off my little table, but I go ahead and just put the 3 pumpkins with each other. I didn't worry about the paint because all of that will be covered up with some floral, but I go ahead and just set these kind of in front and tuck them in the holes and just make these look like a larger piece. But I think this turned out really pretty. Like I said, I need to film it again because the video on this isn't the best, but it's still one of my favorite projects. Thank you all so much for coming along with me today. Like I said, put together my all-time favorite fall DIYs that I know you're gonna love. Let me know in the comments down below which one of these projects was your favorite and what you're excited to start crafting the most this fall season. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Happy crafting. Bye.